Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, Coin Enthusiasts. Today, we're diving deep into a coin that might not seem like much at first glance, but could actually be hiding a small fortune. Yes, you guessed it, we're talking about the 1988 Washington quarter dollar. You might have a few of these sitting around in your collection or even tucked away in an old coin jar, but did you know that some of these quarters could be worth a lot more than just 25 cents? Stick around as we explore the fascinating world of the 1988 Washington quarter, its unique characteristics, and the surprising value it could hold in today's market. Let's start with a bit of background on the Washington quarter itself. The coin was first introduced in 1932 to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington. The obverse, featuring a profile of Washington, was designed by sculptor John Flanagan, and it has remained largely unchanged over the years. On the reverse side, you'll find the eagle perched atop a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and unity. This design has undergone a few modifications through the decades, but the essence of the quarter has stayed true to its original intent, celebrating America's first president and the values he stood for. Now, fast forward to 1988. This year might seem like a relatively standard year in terms of coin production, but it's one that collectors and numismatists have come to take note of, particularly when it comes to the Washington quarter. The 1988 Washington quarter was minted in large numbers, both in Philadelphia and Denver, meaning that most of these quarters are pretty easy to find in circulation. But as we all know, not every coin is created equally. Some are far more valuable than others, and today, we're going to break down why that's the case for certain 1988 Washington quarters. While most 1988 quarters are relatively low in value, just 25 cents each, to be exact, some have characteristics that make them highly desirable to collectors. Let's talk about condition. Like all coins, the condition of a 1988 Washington quarter plays a huge role in determining its value. Coins that are in poor condition, those that are worn, scratched, or damaged from years of circulation, won't command much more than their face value. But if you happen to find a 1988 quarter in mint condition, free from any damage and with all the fine details still visible, you could be holding on to something worth a lot more. The ungraded quarters, those that are still in circulation or have never been professionally assessed, tend to be worth very little. However, coins that are graded by respected organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can fetch far higher prices. Coins that receive a grade of MS 65 or better are considered to be in near-perfect condition, with very few imperfections. These coins are the ones collectors covet, and they're willing to pay top dollar for a high-grade 1988 Washington quarter. One of the things that make the 1988 Washington quarter particularly intriguing to collectors is the potential for mint errors. As with any coin, minting errors occasionally occur during production. These mistakes can make a coin highly unique and incredibly valuable. For example, some 1988 Washington quarters were struck with misaligned dies, meaning the image on the coin wasn't properly centered. Others might have a double die error, where the details of Washington's profile or the eagle on the reverse are slightly doubled, giving the coin a distinctive look. Mint errors like these are highly sought after by collectors, and if you come across one, it could significantly increase the value of your coin. But here's the thing, not all mint errors are immediately obvious to the untrained eye. So, if you think you found a 1988 Washington quarter with a strange or unusual feature, it's a good idea to get it checked by a professional numismatist. What may seem like a simple flaw or imperfection could actually be the result of a rare minting error, and that could make your coin worth far more than you ever imagined. Now, let's talk about the mintage numbers for the 1988 Washington quarter. As I mentioned earlier, these quarters were produced in large quantities, with over 750 million quarters minted that year across both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. With such a high mintage, it's no surprise that most 1988 Washington quarters don't hold much value. However, when you find one in pristine condition, or better yet, a coin with a rare error, the value can rise dramatically. In fact, some of these 1988 quarters have been known to sell for significantly higher prices at auction or in private sales. So, how much could a 1988 Washington quarter be worth? Well, if you have one that's in exceptional condition, you could expect to sell it for anywhere between $10 to $100, depending on the grade and the specific details of the coin. But here's the really exciting part: if you happen to have a mint error coin, one that's in top grade condition or has a significant mistake, your coin could fetch much more. A rare, well-preserved 1988 Washington quarter with a major minting error has been known to sell for as much as $77,000. Yes, $77,000. Imagine finding a coin in your collection that could be worth $77,000. It's no wonder that collectors are constantly on the lookout for rare coins like the 1988 Washington quarter. And if you happen to find one of these coins with a unique feature or a minting flaw, you could be looking at a substantial payout. If you think you have a valuable 1988 Washington quarter on your hands, be sure to take it to a professional coin grading service to have it evaluated. These experts will carefully inspect your coin, determine its grade, and give you an accurate estimate of its value. If it turns out you've got a gem on your hands, you'll want to store it properly to preserve its condition. Coins that are properly stored in protective cases and kept in controlled environments tend to retain their value better over time. So, the next time you come across a 1988 Washington quarter, don't just toss it aside, take a closer look. It could be the key to unlocking a hidden treasure in your collection. Whether it's an error coin, a high-grade example, or just a well-preserved gem, the 1988 Washington quarter has the potential to surprise you with its worth. And who knows, you might just be holding onto a quarter that's worth $77,000. Today, we've got an exciting topic for you: a coin that may be sitting in your pocket or hidden away in your collection, and you might not even realize just how much it's worth. That's right, we're talking about the 1979 Washington quarter dollar. This quarter, produced over 40 years ago, might seem like just another piece of everyday currency. But let me tell you, for collectors, this coin can hold immense value, and in some cases, it could be worth a small fortune. So stick around as we dive into the fascinating world of the 1979 Washington quarter dollar and explore its true worth. Let's begin by setting the scene. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932, designed to honor the first President of the United States, George Washington. The coin features a profile of Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan, and on the reverse, you'll find an eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, a symbol of strength and unity. The design has remained relatively unchanged for decades, with a few variations along the way, but the 1979 Washington quarter is one of those years that stands out among collectors. The 1979 Washington quarter was minted during a significant time in U.S. history. It was a period of transition, with the country in the middle of the 1970s recession and a number of economic challenges. The 1979 coin series was part of a larger effort to meet the public demand for coins while also dealing with the inflationary pressures of the time. The U.S. Mint produced millions of these coins, so at first glance, you might think that a 1979 quarter wouldn't be worth much more than the 25 cents printed on its face. However, here's where things get interesting. Just like with any other coin, the value of a 1979 Washington quarter isn't determined solely by its date and design. There are several key factors that influence its worth: condition, rarity, and mint errors. If you have a 1979 quarter that's been well preserved and shows no signs of wear, you could already be holding a rare coin. But the real jackpot comes when you start to look for coins with unique features, such as mint errors or special circumstances that make the coin stand out. Let's start by talking about condition. As you might expect, a coin's condition plays a huge role in its value. Most 1979 quarters you'll come across will be in average condition, having been circulated in everyday transactions. These coins may show signs of wear, such as scratches, discoloration, or rounded edges from being in people's pockets or purses for years. Generally, a 1979 Washington quarter in worn condition isn't going to fetch a lot more than its face value. But when you come across a well-preserved coin, one that has been kept in pristine condition, that's when the value begins to climb. Coins that are considered uncirculated, meaning they've never been used in circulation and are in like-new condition, are far more valuable than those with wear and tear. Collectors actively search for high-quality coins to add to their collections, and the 1979 Washington quarter is no exception. If you happen to find an uncirculated 1979 quarter, especially one with no signs of damage or blemishes, you could be looking at a significant increase in value. But don't just stop there, let's explore mint errors. Mint errors are one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting. Sometimes, during the coin production process, things don't go quite as planned. A misaligned die, an improperly centered strike, or even a double die can result in a coin that's not like the rest. These errors can make a coin incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. The 1979 Washington quarter is no stranger to such errors. One of the most notable errors you might encounter with the 1979 quarter is the double die error. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing certain elements of the design, like the date or lettering, to appear doubled. A double die can make the coin much more valuable, as collectors are always on the lookout for these unique and rare pieces. Other minting errors, such as off-center strikes or incorrectly stamped designs, can also make a 1979 quarter worth much more than you might expect. Now, let's get to the part you've all been waiting for. How much is a 1979 Washington quarter actually worth? For the most part, a standard 1979 quarter in average circulated condition won't fetch much more than its face value. But once you move into higher-grade coins, the value starts to rise. A 1979 quarter in excellent condition or one that has been professionally graded as MS-65 or higher could be worth a few dollars, depending on the market demand. But here's the real shocker: some 1979 Washington quarters, especially those with rare minting errors, have sold for incredible amounts of money at auctions and private sales. If you're lucky enough to find a highly graded 1979 Washington quarter with a significant minting error, such as a double die or off-center strike, you could be holding onto a coin worth as much as $70,000. That's right, $70,000 for a single 1979 quarter. Imagine finding that in your pocket change or digging through a box of old coins. The rarity and demand for such coins make them incredibly valuable, and if you happen to come across one, you could be in for a serious windfall. So, how do you know if your 1979 Washington quarter is worth a small fortune? First, take a good look at the condition of the coin. If it's well preserved and free from major signs of wear, it might already be worth more than just a quarter. Then, check for any mint errors. Double dies, off-center strikes, or other imperfections could significantly increase the value of your coin. If you think you have a rare find, it's a good idea to get it professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. Grading can provide an official assessment of your coin's value and help you understand just how much it's worth in the current market. To sum up, the 1979 Washington quarter might seem like just another common coin at first glance, but for collectors, it has the potential to be a gold mine. Whether it's a high-grade coin or one with a unique mint error, this quarter could be worth a lot more than you think. If you happen to find a rare 1979 Washington quarter, it could be worth as much as $70,000, a truly mind-blowing amount for such a small piece of currency. Today's video is definitely for you. We're diving into the world of one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history, the 1971 Washington quarter dollar. Now, most people might think that a coin minted in 1971 would only be worth a couple of bucks at best, but as always in the world of numismatics, things aren't always as they seem. You could be sitting on a valuable piece of history without even knowing it. Now, let's take a step back and look at why the 1971 Washington quarter dollar is more than just pocket change. First off, the Washington quarter, which has been around since 1932, is one of the most familiar and beloved coins in America. Featuring George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, the coin was designed by John Flanagan to commemorate Washington's role in American history. It's a piece of coinage that has stood the test of time, with millions minted each year. But not every coin minted during a given year is created equal, and it's the 1971 Washington quarter dollar that we're focusing on today. The 1971 quarter may have been produced in relatively high numbers, but what sets this particular year apart from others are the conditions and error types that could make a seemingly average coin worth far more than its face value. In the world of coin collecting, it's all about spotting the rare ones, the ones that might have been overlooked or dismissed in the past. And when you look at the 1971 Washington quarter, there's a lot to consider. Let's break it down so that by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes this coin so special and how it could be worth way more than the typical 25 cents. Let's start with the condition of the coin. As with any piece of currency, how well a coin has been preserved over time plays a massive role in its value. It's no secret that many coins that have been circulating for years get worn down and damaged. The 1971 Washington quarter is no different. Many of these quarters have traveled through countless pockets, cash registers, and vending machines, showing signs of wear. So, naturally, those that have been heavily circulated tend to have a much lower value, but here's where the excitement begins. If you're lucky enough to have a mint condition 1971 Washington quarter, you could be looking at a much more valuable coin. A coin in gem condition or uncirculated can fetch far more than just its face value. Uncirculated coins are those that have not been used in transactions and have retained their original luster and features. These coins are often free of scratches, dings, and discoloration, making them highly desirable to collectors. The higher the quality of the coin, the more valuable it becomes, and the 1971 Washington quarter is no exception. But wait, there's more. As if mint condition coins weren't rare enough, there are also mint errors that can elevate the value of your 1971 Washington quarter. Mint errors are those mistakes made during the coin production process that lead to a coin being struck in a way that it was never intended. And these errors can make certain coins highly collectible and incredibly valuable. So, let's talk about some of the potential minting errors you might encounter with the 1971 Washington quarter. The first error to look out for is the double die error. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, resulting in doubled features on the coin. For example, you may notice that the letters or numbers, particularly the date on the obverse or the inscriptions on the reverse, appear to be duplicated. This error is one that collectors are especially excited about because it's unique and adds to the rarity of the coin. A 1971 Washington quarter with a double die error can fetch a price far above its regular value, and collectors are known to pay top dollar for these kinds of pieces. Another error to keep an eye out for is misaligned dies. This occurs when the dies used to strike the coin are not perfectly aligned, leading to the design being struck off-center. These off-center strikes can make the coin appear misprinted, and in some cases, this can result in a very distinct and valuable coin. Misaligned dies are considered an error by collectors, and finding one on a 1971 Washington quarter can really make your coin collection stand out. Additionally, there are other rare minting errors that can occur, such as clipped planchets or wrong planchets, where the coin might not be the right shape or size due to mistakes in the production process. These types of errors happen when a blank piece of metal, known as a planchet, is cut incorrectly, resulting in a coin that's either misshapen or imperfect in design. While not all clipped planchets are highly valuable, if the error is noticeable and the coin is in good condition, collectors will definitely take notice, which can result in higher offers for your coin. Now, we've talked a lot about the coin's condition and mint errors, but let's focus on the value. While a standard 1971 Washington quarter might be worth its face value of 25 cents, a quarter in pristine condition or one with a minting error can be worth so much more. If you've got a 1971 Washington quarter that's in near-perfect condition or shows any kind of rare error, it's definitely worth getting it appraised by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. These services will evaluate your coin, assign it a grade, and provide you with an estimate of its market value based on its condition and rarity. So, how much could you actually expect a 1971 Washington quarter to be worth? Well, here's the most exciting part. If your coin is in gem uncirculated condition or has a rare mint error, it could be worth as much as $78,000. Yes, you heard that right, $78,000. That's not a typo. Some of the rarer 1971 Washington quarters, especially those with minting errors like double dies or misaligned dies, have been known to command jaw-dropping prices at auction. Imagine discovering a coin worth $78,000 tucked away in your collection or hidden in a jar of old change. That's the beauty of coin collecting. You never know when you might come across a coin that's more valuable than you ever imagined. So, the next time you come across a 1971 Washington quarter, don't just dismiss it. Take a closer look. Check the condition, look for any signs of mint errors, and consider getting it professionally graded. It could be the start of an exciting journey into the world of rare and valuable coins. If you enjoyed today's video and want to learn more about rare coins, how to spot hidden treasures, and the fascinating world of numismatics, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future content. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting for those rare coins. Today, we're focusing on a coin that you might find yourself passing by without a second thought, the 1996 Washington quarter dollar. But hold on. Before you just toss that quarter aside, there's something you should know. This coin, though seemingly ordinary, could actually be worth a significant amount of money if you know what to look for. In fact, it could be worth a lot more than the 25 cents you see printed on it. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll be ready to take a closer look at your own collection of coins to see if you've got a hidden gem. Let's start with some history. The Washington quarter has been an iconic part of U.S. coinage since 1932, created to honor the first President of the United States, George Washington. The design, featuring Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, has remained largely the same over the years. The only major changes to the Washington quarter have come through different commemorative series and minor adjustments to the eagle design. The 1996 Washington quarter was no exception, sticking with the classic design we know and love, but it's the rarity and condition of this specific coin that make it so intriguing to collectors today. You might think that a quarter minted in 1996, over 25 years ago, isn't going to fetch much more than its face value. After all, millions of these quarters were minted that year, and they've circulated in daily transactions ever since. But here's the thing, not all coins are created equal. The 1996 Washington quarter is one of those coins that holds hidden potential for those who understand its true value. Whether you're an experienced numismatist or a casual coin collector, understanding the factors that affect a coin's value is key to discovering just how much it could be worth. The first thing you need to know is that the condition of a coin plays a massive role in determining its value. Like any other coin, the 1996 Washington quarter has varying levels of wear depending on how much it has been circulated. Coins that have been tossed around in people's pockets, scratched, or worn down by constant handling are less valuable than those that have been well preserved. The more pristine the coin, the higher its potential value. If you come across a 1996 Washington quarter that looks like it just came from the mint, you could be holding onto something much more valuable than you think, but it's not just the condition that matters. One of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting is finding those rare mint errors that can send a coin's value skyrocketing. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong during the coin production process, resulting in a coin that is different from the others. These mistakes can make a coin incredibly valuable and much sought after by collectors. The 1996 Washington quarter is no stranger to such errors, and some of these mistakes are worth paying attention to. One of the most common errors that collectors look for in coins like the 1996 Washington quarter is a double die error. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during production, creating a coin with a double image of certain design elements. For example, you might see the date or lettering on the coin appearing twice, which gives the coin a distinctive look. Doubling can be subtle, but if you know where to look, it can make a huge difference in the coin's value. Double die coins are rare and highly prized by collectors, often fetching a premium price. Another minting error to watch out for is a misaligned die. This error happens when the die is not properly centered, causing part of the design to be cut off or appear off-center. A misaligned die can drastically alter the look of a coin, and those with noticeable errors are more likely to attract the attention of collectors who specialize in these kinds of rare finds. You might also encounter off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, or even double-struck coins, all of which can increase the value of your 1996 Washington quarter. If you come across a coin with any of these features, it could be worth significantly more than a standard issue. But here's the most important takeaway: rarity and condition go hand in hand. The rarer the coin and the better its condition, the more valuable it becomes. And although the 1996 Washington quarter was minted in large quantities, some of these coins are in such high demand due to their pristine condition or rare minting errors that they've become incredibly valuable to the right collector. This is why finding a high-quality, error-free, or error coin from 1996 can result in a substantial payout. So, let's get to the big question: how much can a 1996 Washington quarter actually be worth? Well, most of the standard 1996 quarters you'll come across won't have any special features, and they're only worth their face value, 25 cents. But if you're lucky enough to find a 1996 Washington quarter that's in mint condition, or even better, one with a rare minting error, it could be worth a lot more. In fact, some of these quarters have been known to fetch upwards of $67,000 at auction. Yes, you heard that correctly. $67,000 for a single quarter. That's right, an ordinary 1996 Washington quarter with a significant minting error or in top-notch condition can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Imagine checking your old change jar or going through a box of forgotten coins and finding out that one of those quarters could be worth $67,000. It's every collector's dream come true. So, if you think you might have a 1996 Washington quarter that could be more than just pocket change, make sure to examine it closely. Look for any minting errors, check the condition, and consider getting it graded by a professional coin grading service. A certified grade from a respected company like PCGS or NGC will help you understand exactly what your coin is worth and whether it could be a potential jackpot. The moral of the story? Don't overlook your 1996 Washington quarters. Even though millions were minted, there's still a chance that the one sitting in your collection is worth much more than just 25 cents. Whether it's the coin's condition or a rare mint error, the 1996 Washington quarter has the potential to be a valuable find. Today, we're uncovering the secrets of a coin that might be sitting quietly in your collection or in your pocket change, the 1974 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, this coin might not seem like much, but what if I told you that it could be worth far more than its face value? In fact, this particular Washington quarter has the potential to bring in a serious amount of cash to the lucky collector who knows exactly what they're looking for. So, if you're curious about how much your 1974 Washington quarter could really be worth, stick around to the end of the video for the full reveal. To kick things off, let's take a step back and explore the history behind the 1974 Washington quarter. The Washington quarter itself has been an iconic coin in the United States ever since its introduction in 1932, designed to honor the first president of the U.S., George Washington. Its obverse features the profile of Washington, created by John Flanagan, while the reverse traditionally shows a majestic eagle holding a bundle of arrows, symbolizing the nation's strength and unity. The design has remained largely unchanged throughout the years, with only minor adjustments in some years and special series like the bicentennial quarter in 1976. The 1974 Washington quarter was minted during a significant period in American history. The country was experiencing the tail end of the Vietnam War and facing the challenges of the early 1970s recession. Inflation was rising, and the economy was in a state of flux. Still, these Washington quarters continued to circulate as a regular part of American currency. In fact, millions of these coins were minted, making them relatively common. However, just because these quarters were mass-produced doesn't mean they're worth only their face value. In fact, certain factors, like the coin's condition and the possibility of mint errors, can dramatically increase the value of the 1974 Washington quarter. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin, because that's where the value lies. As with any coin, the state of preservation plays a significant role in determining how much it will fetch in the marketplace. Most of the 1974 Washington quarters you come across will likely show signs of wear, as they were circulated in daily transactions for many years. These coins will typically have visible scratches, scuffs, and possibly some discoloration, which naturally lowers their value. However, if you're lucky enough to find a 1974 Washington quarter in mint condition, where it appears almost as fresh as the day it was minted, then you're in for a pleasant surprise. A coin in uncirculated or mint condition is highly prized by collectors. These coins show minimal to no signs of wear or damage, and their surfaces are in pristine shape. Whether they've been carefully stored in a collection or preserved through the years in a way that protects them from circulation, these quarters are worth significantly more than those that have been used in day-to-day transactions. The key here is that collectors are constantly on the lookout for coins that have retained their original quality, and if you come across a well-preserved 1974 Washington quarter, it could be worth a lot more than just 25 cents, but here's where it gets even more exciting: mint errors. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the coin production process, creating a coin that's not quite like the others. These mistakes can make certain coins incredibly rare and much more valuable. When it comes to the 1974 Washington quarter, there are a few notable mint errors that can significantly increase its worth. One of the most common errors is a double die, which happens when the die used to strike the coin malfunctions, causing the design elements, like the date or lettering, to appear doubled or out of alignment. This kind of error can make the coin stand out and catch the attention of collectors. Other minting errors to look out for in the 1974 Washington quarter include off-center strikes, where the coin's design isn't aligned properly on the blank planchet, or misaligned dies, which result in coins with designs that are too high or too low on the coin. Even more rare are clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to the cutting process not being properly executed. These errors can drastically alter the appearance of the coin, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for a 1974 Washington quarter with these unique features. Now, you might be wondering, just how much could a 1974 Washington quarter actually be worth? The value of a standard 1974 quarter in average circulated condition is pretty much in line with its face value, 25 cents. However, if you have a 1974 Washington quarter in near mint condition or one with a rare mint error, it can be worth so much more. For example, a 1974 quarter with double die errors or a high-grade uncirculated coin has been known to fetch astonishing prices in auctions and private sales. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for: what's the highest price that a 1974 Washington quarter can command? Well, believe it or not, a rare and well-preserved 1974 Washington quarter could be worth as much as $73,000. That's right, a single 1974 quarter, when in exceptional condition or with rare mint errors, can bring in a staggering $73,000 at auction. Imagine finding one of these quarters in your collection. Suddenly, that ordinary piece of change is worth more than the average car or even a down payment on a house. If you've got a 1974 Washington quarter in your possession, it's worth taking a closer look at it. Check for any signs of wear, but more importantly, examine the coin for any potential minting errors that could set it apart from the rest. If you believe your quarter might be one of those rarer finds, it's a good idea to have it professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. These companies can provide a professional assessment of the coin's condition and let you know exactly what it's worth in the current market. In conclusion, the 1974 Washington quarter might seem like just another everyday coin, but if you take a closer look, you could find that it holds far more value than you ever expected. Whether it's a high-quality, uncirculated coin or one with a rare mint error, this quarter could be worth a lot more than the 25 cents stamped on its face. And if you're lucky enough to have one of these rare coins, it could be worth as much as $73,000. So, take a moment to check your change jar, search through your collection, and you just might be sitting on a fortune.